Hi, my name's Peter Knight. I'm a composer from Melbourne, Australia. I'm also a trumpet player, and I like to use electronics, including the laptop and this beautiful reel-to-reel tape machine, the Revox B77 Mark II. And I use those particularly in my solo practice, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today for this mini masterclass. Around about 10 or so years ago, I started to experiment with processing my trumpet sound through laptop electronics in order to expand possibilities for live solo performance. And this led to a whole lot of new ideas for me, but I quickly got tired of the platform itself. I didn't like being stuck behind the screen. So I started to experiment with pedals and with amplifiers and with old analog gear like tape recorders and turntables. And all of this was in search of a more dynamic approach to this practice, and an approach that connected musical impulse with physical gesture. I'm an improvising trumpeter, so this has always been central to my practice. The setup I'm talking about today is one of the electroacoustic environments that I've developed over the years, and it's one that I still use for solo and ensemble performances and composition. And integrating this setting and other electroacoustic environments into larger ensemble contexts is a big part of the work that I'm doing with the Australian Art Orchestra. First, I want to explain how I have the laptop set up in this configuration. So I have a bell mic on the trumpet, and the mic runs into a sound card and then into the laptop. And then I control the laptop using this MIDI controller. It's a Korg Nano controller. And MIDI controllers come in all shapes and sizes, some expensive, some cheap. This is pretty cheap and basic. It's just sliders, buttons, and knobs. And I map the sliders, buttons, and knobs onto the controls inside the laptop. The program that I use is Ableton Live, which I like very much, and I have a very simple setup. I use usually only about 4 plugins, often a granular synthesis plugin. I use some delays and reverb, and occasionally a couple of other things depending on what I'm doing. But I try to keep it to a minimum because I don't want too many things to be thinking about. I want to keep this instinctive and be able to respond to my impulses and not think too much. So I'm going to demonstrate how I use the laptop and the MIDI controller with the trumpet in a very simple kind of format. This is just using 2 plugins, an old granular synthesis plugin and a digital delay in Ableton. Just going to pop on some headphones. And with this setup, I often use the trumpet without a mouthpiece. And it's not just because I like the fluty kind of sound of the trumpet without the mouthpiece, but it's also because I can play incredibly quietly without the mouthpiece. And so when you're listening as an audience member, you only hear the sound of the trumpet processed through the electronics, and you don't have that strange delay between the acoustic sound of the trumpet and the electronic sound of the trumpet. So this is how it goes. Okay, so let's have a look at how my Revox setup works. Here, we've got the Korg Nano controller, which controls several parameters in the laptop. We spoke about this before, and the laptop's out of view. Have the controls of the Revox, which include the tape input selector. If it's selected to input, the signal's coming from the laptop straight into the Revox and straight out. If it's selected to tape, then the signal's coming in, being recorded by the tape before it goes out of the Revox. That's the main volume control. These are the left and the right sides of the record heads of the Revox. These are the record levels, left and right. This is record left on, record left off, record right on, and record right off. These are the input selectors. If it's selected to aux, then it's taking the signal from the laptop. If I select right to left or left to right, it's recording from the opposite playhead. And that's a really important part of the Revox and opens up a whole lot of expressive possibilities. And I'm just going to pause there for a moment to show you what happens if I record from one playhead to the other on both sides. We get beautiful subsonic feedback. So now if I just slowly turn these levels up, you'll hear a low rumbling appear. If you're listening on a laptop or on a phone, you probably won't hear it because it's too low. And that's without any input from outside, no input from the laptop or anything else. Very beautiful. So that's the record inputs. You've got the standard controls of any tape recorder. You've got the multi-speed controls, which are important. That's set at half speed, that's set at normal speed. And then we have this beautiful piece of equipment, which is the variable speed controller, which allows us much more minute controls over the speed of the tape and therefore the pitch of the material that's recorded onto the tape. We've got this wheel and I can just gradually move the pitch around, and if I just play what we just recorded, hear that. Okay, so that's the controls. And you can see on the top of the Revox, I've got a whole lot of kind of paraphernalia, bits and pieces. I've got a Chinese gong here and a chain that I use as a sound source. Got a bit of a trumpet mute. I didn't mention that there are these mic inputs here that I can also select with the selectors. And I have a mic sitting on the top of the machine here that goes into this mic input. This is the tape head protector. I usually have it sitting off here and it kind of scrapes occasionally against the spool. I've got some bits of masking tape connected to the spool and to this whirling wheel here, and they act as percussion instruments. They tap on things and create all sorts of interesting raw materials to record into the Revox and then for processing. And here's the tape itself. The tape's running around the tape heads, it's running out around this loop, and then it's going out to a mic stand out there. And it's spliced together into a short piece of tape that goes around and around every few seconds. So let's hear what this all sounds like with the trumpet. I'm going to start by recording a drone on the trumpet and capturing it in a delay on the laptop. And now I'm going to record that drone on the Revox. I'm going to turn off the right channel and then slow the tape down to half speed. And you can hear now that there's a low drone coming from the Revox. and the drone coming from the laptop. I'll record some breath sound now and process it using granule synthesis plugin in the laptop. Now I'm going to put the trumpet down. And I'm going to record some material from on top of the Revox using these bits and pieces. So I hope this has been interesting. Obviously, the setup I've been describing is highly personal and idiosyncratic. And if you were to embark on extending the possibilities of your instrument, then what you end up with will depend a lot on the instrument you play and on your own aesthetic. But you can start with a laptop, or you can start with a volume pedal and a distortion pedal and an amplifier, and start exploring possibilities and see where you end up. Thanks very much for listening.